we have two raised flower beds. These two. This one is for tomatoes, onions, and peppers. This one is for the herbs and spices. Now, I haven't had anything planted in here for about 3 months, and the weeds have started to take over. But what we're going to do today is clean this out and put down some fertilizer and just prepare the soil for some tomatoes. Now, in our winter garden, we typically grow tomatoes because it doesn't get cold enough here for the tomatoes not to grow. We can have tomatoes all the way up until the first of the year, and then we finally get into some cold conditions where they don't grow too well. But let's get started on that. Found a couple of onions hiding in there. Let's see, focus. They're not very big, but I'll stick them on a sandwich. Fertilizers. I use two things in our garden. I use sulfur. Well, this is like beaded sulfur. I call it beaded sulfur. It's like little pellets. Let's see if I can get you a shot of this. I don't know if you can see that. That is sulfur. And then the other thing I use is good old 1313. Now, people ask me, how much do you put in your garden? You can read the bag, it'll tell you. I was always taught coffee cans. For a garden this size, I'll probably put like 2 sulfurs, maybe 4 of the 1313. In our bigger garden, we have 50-foot rows. And so what we do there is I'll use a big, like Folgers coffee can, and I'll do 1 of the sulfur and like 2 of the 1313 per row. And I just, after I get the garden tilled and the rows made, I'll just put that right down the middle, and then I'll come back with a rake and rake it in or finish making my furrows. So before I turn this in, I got the weeds out. And so what I'll do is I'll put down all the sulfur and the fertilizer, and then I'm just going to use a hay fork to turn it over. I found that that's the easiest thing to do in these raised flower beds. So I got some fire ants over in this corner. You can use coffee grounds. Focus. Yeah, you can use coffee grounds to get rid of fire ants. Since the garden is empty and I'm not going to be planting anything in here, or at least on that side today, I may just actually use poison. But this is pretty much the way the soil looks. It's pretty good. It's pretty soft, very sandy. And then underneath this we have tons of horse manure and wood shavings. And then we also have a whole bunch of leaves and sticks, oak leaves and sticks. So now I'm going to rake it off, try to get any roots out, and then level it off, and then I'll probably water it. And I don't do that with our large in the ground garden and our raised garden beds. After I turn the soil, especially after I fertilize, I like to wet it, and then I'll come back later that day and plant the plants, or the next morning. It just I think it just gives the ground a little bit more moisture for those new plants to take root, and also give an opportunity for the fertilizer to start breaking down with that moisture. So let's rake this real quick and get to watering. These are tomato plants. I have more in the compost, but these are tomatoes that just came up out of the compost. And a lot of times I found that if you just plant these, they'll produce just as good as any other tomato. We do heirloom tomatoes here, so whatever these are going to be an exact copy of what we've been growing. So I'll just go over to the compost, dig them out, put 4 or 5 in a bucket, plant them, go back and get more. So let's get planting. If you find any roots in here like this, this looks, this is a grass root. Throw that out. I just throw it into the yard. So sometimes you'll run into different types of roots, or rocks. Okay. Here's my first tomato. Alright, here's my first tomato. And there's a lot of dirt around the base of this tomato. I'm just going to leave it. There's a weed there. I'm going to pull that, and I'm just going to plant that guy just like that. Now what I am going to do is bring the dirt up. Let me show you. I'm going to bring the dirt up on this tomato, up the stem, probably about where my fingers are, and put about 1 inch under the dirt. He'll sprout more roots, but that's going to give him the stability that he needs through these next windy, we have a lot of wind during the fall. So as the fall goes on, I want to try to keep that dirt piled up real high to help him until I can stake him up. Alright, so there it is. We're done for the day, or for now. I got some chores to do. We're new at this. Like I said, I don't have a lot of the filters, don't have a lot of the lenses, don't even know what I'm doing half the time. Let's just say all the time. If y'all have any tips, let me know. What I do here is the way that I was taught to do it from my grandfather and my parents and his grandfather and my great-grandfather. But it doesn't always mean it's the right way to do it. But it's the way we do it, and it works. And sometimes the old way is better than the new way. Leave comments if there's something that y'all want to see. Let me know. One of the things that I would like to try to do coming up is the difference between raised flower beds versus the big garden in the back. That's a 50 by 50 in the ground garden, I'm going to call it. And there's a difference. And you'd be surprised how much produce you can get out of these two gardens if done correctly versus all that square footage back there. And then we have the bees. And in the back, I don't know if you can see it because the lens isn't going to focus because it's focused on me, is a chicken tractor. Next weekend we're going to be harvesting 30-40 chickens to put in the freezer. So keep watching. Let us know if y'all have any comments. Until next time, see ya.